Everyone told me I would be mad to try to heat a 42-room period property with a heat pump. So I decided to do exactly that, and to prove everyone wrong, we're just gonna use one single heat pump for the job. If we fail, it's going to be a monumental waste of time and money. Not to mention the damage to our reputation. The main contractor has run gas supply to the plant room, I guess as an insurance policy in case the heat pump system doesn't work as expected. However, if it does, this will shut a lot of heat pump deniers out. Politely, of course. People think that heat pumps only work in modern, well-insulated buildings. However, what we have here is early 1900s period property with solid triple brick and double brick walls. It's getting renovated, so it's gonna get internal wall insulation, obviously new roof to the current standard, new high-quality windows. Total floor area of the building is 630 square meters or 6,800 square feet. Before it got renovated, the heat loss of this property was around 40 kilowatts. Once all the works are completed, the heat loss is going to be 16.8 kilowatts, if my calculations are accurate. And there is a number of measures implemented into the building that we're gonna have a look at right now that not only drop the heat loss, but also improve ventilation losses. If you look at this pointing, it's pure perfection. And apparently, this is exactly how those brickwork was pointed in the early 1900s. So the way they insulated external walls is by using this fiber insulation. There's another layer that goes on top that gets rendered. So once it's attached to the wall, there is no air gaps at all. So the wall can breathe, there are no air gaps. So the worst thing you can do on solid walls is to use dot and dap and leave loads of space with air, because it will create condensation. So this is one of the three MVHR units. This is where the air exchange happens. This is where the heat exchanger is. And those solutions with ventilation, with insulation, new windows, new roofs, allows us to drop the heat loss of this property to manageable levels of around 27 watts per square meter or 16.8 kilowatts. And with that kind of load, we should be able to run this house with a single heat pump. This is my little lovely EHC direct electric boiler that we've been using for the last 2 months to run this property. It's been running 3 floors already. 2 top floors are insulated, and with the flow temperature of 23 degrees, they're perfectly nice and warm, probably around 18 degrees on those floors. I'm very curious how much energy a direct electric boiler uses on a house of this size, especially during building works. And we've got all the stats here, so let's have a look. So in January, it went through 5,000 kilowatt hours. In February so far, 1,600. So 5,000 kilowatt hours times 26 pence. That is some 1,200-1,300 quid a month. So yeah, you don't want to be using this boiler unless you really have to. We've already installed underfloor heating on all the floors. So the basement was on insulation and screeded over. All the other floors are timber structure that we put castellated panels on, nailed down, tight spacing on pipework, and 40 millimeters of latex screed. The reason to use latex is because it gives us big thermal mass and very high output underfloor heating system. This is where the plant room will go, and it's lovely to have so much space to work with. And also builders prepared nice grey backdrop for us. We've already run underground pipe work, those 2 pipes there, because the external unit is some 30 meters away in the back garden. We have to get this 500-liter cylinder down some sketchy stairs. It only weighs 120 kilograms. Yeah, we won't be able to come down with it. Right, we've got the cylinder in. Just need to go in a position. Now we have to place the unit on the base that builders built for us over there. And I think we have to take it apart, take the panels out so we can get to the fixings on the pallet. The unit is on the footing. That's where it's gonna stay, on 4 feet. Now we can pipe it up. So this little mess here is where all the services go to the house, from air conditioning, wiring to the heat pump, wiring to the air conditioning. This is pipework for air conditioning in this duct. 2 of our pipes, those are 50 mil pre-insulated pipes that go some 30 meters into the garden, and this is our 3-phase power supply cable. Because the heat pump is quite far away, I think it's over 30 meters. Let me show you. You have to go up those big steps and to the back of the garden. As you can see, it's over there. It was already installed on the base, but then the customer came in and said, nah, I don't like where it is. I want it moved half a meter to the left and half a meter to the back. So that's what builders did. I think the base is ready now. We need to move that heat pump into the position again and pipe it up. And I must say the second base looked way better than the first one, so I'm quite happy they demolished the original one. Pipework is all done, and we are insulating it with this K-Rock stuff. I think it's called K-Rock, so silver foil insulation. I didn't get isolating valves 42 mil press on time, so we had to use compression with some really big spanners, and it takes some effort to make them tight. Electricians are on site wiring it, so we are close to being able to commission this setup. This is the main controller wiring center for the setup. Obviously the heat pump is 3-phase. Since the boys are back doing the electrics, we're gonna leave them in peace here, and well, let's check out how the building works are going on in the rest of the house. This is where the cinema room is going to be, and a games room there, I think. This is bigger than my house, just this area. Floor above, this is where the kitchen, I think, will go, and you can see there's tons of work that needs doing. On the ceilings, you can see our pipe work, you can see ducts for ventilation, you can see aircon units. So I think they're doing the work, finishing top floors first and going down. And I think the maybe plan is to move on the top floors while the work is still being carried out on the other floors. Let's have a look upstairs. When you get to the top floor, you realize that putting a lift in this house probably makes a lot of sense. So they started to put the bathrooms in. Some gigantic tiles, 1.2 by 1.2 meters just on this wall. Sun tunnel here, so there's a tube going all the way to the roof, bringing natural light in, so that's nice. And on this floor alone, on the top floor, there's 4 bathrooms, which I think there is 3 more on the floor below. But really interesting stuff, at least for me, is in the loft. And in the loft you have not 1 but 2 of mechanical ventilation with heat recovery units and with manifolds, and you've seen those pipes probably under the ceilings already going to pretty much every single room over the 3 floors below us, and then there's a third one of those we've seen already in the cellar. External unit is also piped up, fully pressure tested, and we're just waiting for the electricians to finish the wiring, and I can't wait to power it up and see how well it's going to perform in this building. As with heat pumps, the first time you turn them on, they tend not to do what you want them to do. So you get a blank screen, there's power because it lights up, but nothing else.
Okay, just pull that black cable out of where it's plugged into the WebEx board.
What, take it out?
Yeah, just swap them over, just swap the 2 black cables
Yeah.
over. They're just data linking. That second one goes up to the big board at the top, look. So is it all plugged back in again?
Yeah.
Just powered it up.
Yeah, it's working now.
There you are.
Ah.
Right, so let that go through its little bit.
Oh, it's in English. Oh, it's speaking English to us.
That's why I set it up here for you. No, that's okay. Such grand connections. Then you've got we've got power to outdoor, we've got no 24 volt. The only thing I can suggest now is doing continuity tests on your Cat 6s. Let me just read this.
It looks like we've got it all set up. I'm gonna message Ashley to fire the external unit compressor. We're getting flow rate of 4,000 liters per hour, so 4 cubic meters. It's 1,000 more than we need. And the very ground floor, this floor we are at now, it's not even on yet because the manifold's not connected because they have to put the staircases in and all that other stuff. So yeah, 3/4 of a house are running now. So no buffers, 1 pump, gigantic house, enough flow rate, heat pump being miles away in the garden. We don't need a buffer. This is just a volumizer that we don't need probably anyway, but they sent it, we installed it. What does it tell you? It tells you that if you get a 3-bed semi-detached and someone puts a buffer in, do they really need it? The unit's running. You can feel the air. You can't really see the fan on those unless you look like that. And it is whisper quiet, I must say. Very, very quiet unit. We turned this heat pump on Friday last week. It's Monday now. It's been running whole weekend. I've been monitoring it on Open Energy Monitor. And I know that place might be a bit too warm. Previously, electric boiler was running 23 degrees flow temperature and the site was nice and warm. Now, I can already see the windows are open. So if we see semi-naked builders inside, now you know why. Most windows on site are now open because it's actually too warm to be able to comfortably do building works inside. So I may have to drop that heat curve even lower. However, the site needs to be ventilated because the plaster and the screed needs to dry out so the guys can start installing timber floors soon. I think we are proving here that even the biggest buildings can be run with a heat pump. Not cascades of many heat pumps, just a single heat pump. Not only that, we have no buffers here, we have only one circulator, we have no third-party controls, everything runs as one big open zone. As simple as it can possibly get. So are we crazy not to put any zones in a building of this size? Well, I don't think so, because as soon as you understand how weather-compensated setups operate, you start to understand that zoning is not really a thing with weather compensation. What do? We design the systems carefully to give us exactly the temperature we want where we want it. To give you an idea, we always offer our customers a service of introducing some level of control if it's required. But what I tell my customers is, please run the system for one season first, then get back to me, tell me if you want anything adjusting, and if that doesn't work, then we'll introduce additional controls. So far, 100 systems installed. Not a single person got back to us and asked us to introduce additional controls. However, yes, there might be circumstances where you need to introduce control, but then I would suggest you do it the opposite to what most people do. Don't put loads of thermostats, don't fire the heat source for the small area, put temperature limiters and limit areas to certain temperatures if they overshoot. And if you want to have certain areas unused, don't turn them off, limit them on temperature to a setback temperature, so 16, 17 degrees. And that should work best for both comfort and energy efficiency. And while we are on the subject of heating system design, if you want to learn how to both design and install super efficient weather compensated setups with any heat source, gas boilers or heat pumps, go to www.urbanheatingacademy.co.uk and join a waiting list for our heating design and installation mega course. You'll get an early access and a chance to shape the course yourself. We will come back to this site once the building works are fully finished, and hopefully we'll all get a chance to see a fully completed house. For now, I encourage you to follow the link in the description and go to the Open Energy Monitoring website to see how this system is performing.